Good evening, I'm Byron Scott with a CTV News update. Activists rally in Annapolis demanding that Governor Hogan extend the COVID-19 moratorium on evictions. Hogan's order barring evictions is set to end tomorrow. CASA and Our Revolution Maryland marched from the district courthouse in Annapolis to the governor's mansion this morning. While Hogan allocated $30 million in rent relief last month, the groups say that's not enough. They're asking for more than $100 million. They're also urging the governor to extend the ban on evictions for at least a year after the pandemic.
So today we have tons of different organizations. We have advocates, housing advocates, education advocates, people from across the board, and tons of directly impacted tenants who are here today demanding that the governor take action on housing relief. Evictions are resuming tomorrow on the 25th, and what we're doing right now is urging him to extend the moratorium on evictions, to expand it to cover all evictions, and to provide additional money in housing relief.
I am deeply concerned about this crisis. You know, we are facing possibly a couple 100,000 Marylanders losing their homes over the next few months. I'm on the Environment and Transportation Committee, and my committee had a hearing about 2 weeks ago where we heard from everybody, the tenant advocates, the landlords, the property managers, the bankers, about what a crisis this is. It's a humanitarian crisis, but it's also an economic crisis, and we need to do more. We need to extend and expand the moratorium so that people don't lose their homes while we try to find other solutions. And we need to provide additional housing assistance, whether it be through CARES Act funding, whether the Senate can pass additional funding. I really hope that they can. Whether the state can find additional funding. We need to do what we can to keep people in their homes in this pandemic and avoid this humanitarian and economic crisis.
Hogan announced this afternoon that the state will begin a 4-month rent rebate voucher program. However, only persons living in public housing are eligible. And in the lead up to the release of his upcoming book, Governor Larry Hogan continues to criticize the president's handling of the pandemic. In an interview with AP News, the governor says Trump initially downplayed the threat in early February despite grave warnings from his top national experts. He says the federal government needs to assist states with more testing and contact tracing. This as the number of confirmed cases resurges. Hogan's book is set for release on Tuesday. Well, the county's health department set up a pop-up COVID-19 testing site today. It opened at 9 this morning at the Southern Regional Technology and Recreation Complex in Fort Washington. The tests were free to all. No appointments or doctor's notes or insurance were required. For more information about the county's testing sites, go to 301-883-6627. And the body of Congressman John Lewis will lie in state at the U.S. Capitol next week. An invitation-only arrival ceremony will be held on Monday at 1:30 in the afternoon. Members of the public can pay their respects outside the building on Monday and Tuesday. Because of the pandemic, Lewis will lie in state at the top of the east front steps of the Capitol. Attendees will be required to wear masks in order to enter the line. Social distancing will be enforced. The funeral for Lewis set for Thursday in Atlanta. And with the November elections just a few months away, state election officials say they are facing an emergency shortage of poll workers willing to work during the pandemic. The Maryland Association of Election Officials says it needs 39,000 poll workers to staff all precincts, but stressed they are short by nearly 14,000. Association President David Garris says many people who help at polling sites are older and thus in the high-risk group for catching COVID-19. In Prince George's, officials say only 36% of poll workers are willing to work during the pandemic. Also, 21 polling locations, primarily churches, have indicated they are not willing to be a voting location. Officials say some locations may have to be consolidated. Police identify a man who was fatally shot in Morningside early yesterday morning. The victim, 26-year-old Adam Jones. Officers were called to the 6400 block of Suitland Road at around 1:30. They found Jones in a parking lot suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Anyone with information about the incident is asked to contact police. And the deadline to respond to the 2020 U.S. Census is approaching. Americans have until October 31st to fill out the form online, by phone, or mail. Today, the county leaders took part in a teleconference with other regional leaders to discuss efforts in getting the black community counted. Meantime, the county will hold a drive-up census completion and distribution event. It will take place at the College Park Church of the Nazarene from 10 a.m. until noon. Organizers will also provide free backpacks and school supplies to families in need. Well, trying to get rid of that old sofa or other large household items, the county is set to resume bulky trash pickup services. Beginning August 3rd, you can have those items picked up, but you must make an appointment. You can do that by calling 311 or visit countyclick.PrinceGeorgesCountyMD.GOV. Well, the Maryland company that helps improve visual communication for deaf people gets some extra money to promote its products. Patricia Vallone has that story.
A lot of ASL is not just in the hands, it's also in the face and the facial expressions. And so it's part of the language to be able to see the face.
Deaf and hard of hearing people often rely on facial expressions and lip reading to communicate, but face masks often make it difficult, if not impossible, to decipher a message. One Baltimore company decided to fix that problem with clear masks.
We started back in 2017 when one of our co-founders, Alyssa, who's deaf, had to have surgery. And because she's deaf, she requested a sign language interpreter. And unfortunately, on the day of her surgery, the interpreter never showed up. Once she got into the operating room, all of the doctors and nurses were wearing a surgical mask. And so she was completely cut off from communicating with everyone around her. And they were trying to ask her final patient safety questions like, who are you? Which side are we operating on? What drugs are you allergic to? What's your blood type? They were trying to put blood pressure cuffs on her, IVs, position her, etc. All of these very important things that are critical that she couldn't understand.
The company just got a much-needed financial lift from the state, one of several to receive seed money from an $800,000 fund for tech startups.
So the pandemic has obviously changed your business. Has it taken off because of it?
Yeah, we've been fortunate to have been able to kind of do all of the background foundation laying for the clear mask before COVID. And so we've had all the laboratory tests done and, a bunch of different prototypes tested and all this stuff. So we've been able to ramp up our production to have a clear mask that actually works and is real. And it's been amazing that we've been able to just help as many people as we can that need to communicate during these times.
Patricia Vallone, CTV News.
For more information on the company, log on to clearmask.com. Well, from producing decorations for events to making face coverings, one local company is doing what it can to help during the pandemic. Keisha Butts has those details.
Fabrication Events, a Jessup furnishing shop, is known for decorating big events like weddings. However, during the pandemic, it's had to reinvent its business. Now staff members are producing face masks. They're also selling disposable gowns and gloves and disinfectant. So far, it's sold more than 3,000 face coverings, and it's donated more than 4,000 to hospitals and police officers in Howard and Frederick counties since March.
One of the local sheriffs in my neighborhood I had talked to, and he said he had an N95 mask that was 6 years old that had been in his trunk the entire time. And so that kind of turned us on to, okay, they need this. At the time, the focus was on hospitals, so we donated to them, and then we were donating everywhere we went. People were very happy to see really anything that they could get.
For more information, visit MarylandFaceCovers.com. This is Keisha Butts with CTV News.
For more information, visit MarylandFaceCovers.com. Well, tax-free shopping in Maryland, it's that time of year again. Every summer as the new school year approaches, state officials encourage residents to get out and shop. If you buy certain items like clothing, footwear, or backpacks, you'll be exempt from the state sales tax. Tax-free shopping runs from August 9th through the 15th, and because of the pandemic, officials are encouraging you to patronize small businesses. Well, a month after protests took place at a popular Clinton restaurant, the business is issuing an official public apology. Today, the fish market made a statement saying, quote, "There is no place for racism and bigotry in our world, and certainly not at the fish market." You may recall a male customer says a co-owner of the establishment says that he could not come into the business wearing a T-shirt that read, "I can't breathe." The words were in reference to the death of George Floyd. The owners of the fish market operated the business since 1997. It's been closed, though, since the end of June. A spokesperson says they hope to reopen the restaurant soon. Well, after weeks of being shut down due to the pandemic, 2 Smithsonian facilities reopened today. This was the scene at the National Zoo this morning as the gates opened at 8 this morning. The other facility that opened today was the Air and Space Udvar-Hazy Center in Chantilly, which opened at 10. The Smithsonian says there will be new safety measures in place, including mandatory face masks for anyone over the age of 6. It will also limit the number of visitors by requiring timed entry pass, post hand sanitation stations, and implement social distancing. The zoo will be open daily from 8 to 4. The Udvar-Hazy Center open to 10 to 5:30. All of the Smithsonian museums remain temporarily closed to the public. Well, the Major League Baseball season got underway last night with the world champion Washington Nationals hosting the New York Yankees. There were no fans in the stands because of the pandemic. In a gesture of support for the Black Lives Matter movement, the teams together held black bunting stretched across the field. Meantime, as the game got underway, things didn't look so good for the defending champs.
So Judge at second with 2 men out, and here is Giancarlo. Judge off second with 2 out. It'll be a 1-1 to Stanton. And the pitch is swung on and hit high in the air to left center. That ball is high. It is far. It is gone. Way back in the left center field seats. A Stantonian home run.
The Nationals lost their home opener to the Yankees 4-1. The Orioles, meantime, take on the Red Sox in Boston in their season opener tonight. And that wraps up CTV News. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you here Monday night. Good night.
For the latest information on COVID-19 in Maryland, visit the State Health Department website. That's health.maryland.gov. Again, health.maryland.gov. Click the link to the COVID-19 information portal. There you'll find all the latest information about coronavirus. You'll find daily updates on cases and fatalities. Answers to questions about testing and the governor's stay-at-home order are available as well. For specific information about Prince George's, visit PrinceGeorgesCountyMD.GOV. That's PrinceGeorgesCountyMD.GOV. The site offers information about local services for residents and businesses. There's a link for COVID-19 relief donations. Also, food pantry locations are listed. And if you have any questions, call the county COVID-19 hotline at 301-883-6627. That's 301-883-6627.
You're looking at me in the future. Okay. Hi, Isaac.
Hi. Wait a second.
Do you know who I am?
Julia.
This is Jaina. Into the future. I just wanted to talk to you about what happened with those 2 girls.
Oh, yeah?
Do you remember it was this girl that I was getting bullied by that one day at PE when they were like yelling at me, and then you just linked arms with me? I don't think you know how much like that helped me, because like I finally like knew that I had somebody. Because of you, Isaac, and what you did for me years ago, I grew up to be more independent and love myself and just be a little bit more confident.
Aw, I'm like a little tearing up right now. Just to see her in the future just blossom and look beautiful, and that was really amazing.
Here are your AARP top tips on caregiver preparedness during coronavirus. First, form a caregiving team. Create a list of people in your family and friend network who can help with caregiving tasks. Take an inventory of supplies in your loved one's home. Try to have a 2-week supply of essential items. Make a list of the care recipient's medications and medical contacts. Be sure to have prescriptions on hand and ask the pharmacist for an extra 30-day supply. Make a plan to stay connected. To prevent social isolation, set up available technology to help loved ones stay connected and schedule regular chats. Finally, maintain your own self-care. follow the Centers for Disease Control's guidelines for coronavirus safety. And have a backup plan for care in case you become ill. For more caregiving tips during the coronavirus pandemic, go to aarp.org/caregiving.